leaving Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue.
They're now making their way across town along 57th Street.
Seriously, are we going to follow this guy to court every day?
My apologies, ma'am. I was sitting 50 feet away. I was having such a struggle to try and get those eyeballs in.
Damn it, woman! Does Donald Trump have eyeballs or no, ma'am? Does he or no?
What happens when America's sharpest satirist turns his lens on the very network that calls itself the most trusted name in news? Spoiler, it's not pretty. Jon Stewart stepped onto the stage this week and delivered a flawless, no-notes takedown of CNN's Trump obsession, an obsession so intense that even CNN finally admitted on air they may have overindulged. Sounds noble, right? Hold that thought, because Stewart showed receipt by receipt that the confession was less a mea culpa and more a PR band-aid slapped over a gaping ratings wound. And once you see what really happened, you might never look at breaking news banners the same way again.
This trial will obviously be a test of the fairness of the American legal system, but it's also a test of the media's ability to cover Donald Trump in a responsible way, a task they have acknowledged they've performed poorly in the past.
Way too much speculation and liberal wishful thinking and attempts to connect dots that did not connect.
It's the media's responsibility to not get distracted.
I think we were much too busy chasing after shiny objects.
It began with an astonishing sight. Network anchors shifting in their seats, swallowing hard, and admitting on live TV that perhaps, just perhaps, they'd spent too much oxygen on Donald J. Trump. For a split second, it felt like the news gods were finally handing out humility. Yet, within minutes, Jon Stewart's skeptical eyebrows practically launched off his forehead. He rolled clip after clip of those same anchors from 2016 through 2023, breathlessly narrating Trump's every tweet, sneeze, and typo, as though civilization hinged on it. Now they wanted forgiveness? Stewart leaned into the camera and deadpanned, "Sure, and I'm the tooth fairy."
And I think for this trial, we will see the seeds of that introspection bear fruit. Or we will learn that learning curves are for pussies.
Remember the never-ending Russian collusion countdown clock? Night after night, pundits hinted that tomorrow's bombshell would end the Trump presidency. Except tomorrow never came. Then there was Rachel Maddow clutching a single page of Trump's tax returns like it was the Dead Sea Scrolls, only to reveal two pieces of paper that proved he paid taxes. And let's not forget the Steele dossier, hyped as the Holy Grail until it crumbled faster than a sandcastle at high tide. Stewart rewound each fiasco, complete with the dramatic music cues networks use to goose the tension. By the end of the montage, you could feel viewers reliving the whiplash. Yet ratings soared through every misfire, proving outrage, not accuracy, was the real product.
Here we go. It's on. It's happening. History will be made.
Shaping up to be the trial of the century.
Maybe the trial of the century.
The trial of the century.
But just might be the trial of the century.
The tax man is here, Donald Trump.
Here's where Stewart dove into the uncomfortable math. The second Trump's name lit up a chyron, audience numbers spiked, sometimes doubling in the coveted 25-54 demographic. Advertisers smelled the frenzy and opened their wallets. Former CNN staffers have quietly confessed that in editorial meetings, the mandate was simple. If it has Trump, lead with it. The network may have acted like a sober watchdog, but behind the scenes, it was a late-night slot machine coughing out quarters. No Trump, no jackpot, and everyone from interns to executives knew it.
So the media's first attempt, the very first attempt on the first day at self-control failed. And I'm sorry to say that I'm sorry, hold on, we're getting breaking news.
You know, he wanted to get a jury seated, so we had a lady.
Bill, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're just showing the first image of Donald Trump from inside the courtroom. It's a still photograph that we're showing there. Just I want to make sure our viewers know what they're looking at.
Yes, for our viewers who are just waking up from a 30-year coma, this is what Donald Trump has looked like every day for the past 30 years. Same outfit.
Fast forward to Trump's latest courtroom cameo. Cameras weren't allowed, so CNN sees the next best thing, a single still photo. They cut off a guest mid-sentence, splashed the image on screen, and treated it like the first human sighting of Bigfoot. But even that wasn't theatrical enough. Moments later, out came the pastel sketches. Yes, those watercolor meets charcoal drawings you usually see on ADS crime shows. Anchors gasped, analysts leaned in. One host actually said, "Look at the shading around his eyes." Fascinating. Stewart practically howled, "Journalism or interpretive art?"
I'm looking at the courtroom sketch, and Mr. Trump looks like he is glowering. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a glower or just a glance. And I don't know how it's art. It's not necessarily it's artistic journalism, but it's not a photograph.
Why are you showing it to us? It's a sketch. Why would anyone analyze a sketch like it was? It'd be like looking at the Last Supper and going, "Why do you think Jesus looks so sad here? What do you think? It's because of Judas?" What if we interview one of the waiters at one of the tables from like a different section of the restaurant who maybe didn't actually see him, but, well, we got time to kill. Well, I guess we'll never know.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more indulgent, CNN booked the courtroom sketch artist for a live interview. Their first question, why does Mr. Trump appear to be frowning? The artist admitted she'd been 50 feet away and could barely see his face. Translation, the frown was, at best, educated guesswork. Did that stop the anchors from speculating about Trump's state of mind? Absolutely not. Panels launched. Body Engage experts weighed in. Twitter did what Twitter does, turning the pastel into an overnight meme. Stewart, wiping imaginary tears, quipped, "What's next? Hiring a clairvoyant to read his aura?"
My apologies, ma'am. I was sitting 50 feet away. I was having such a struggle to try and get those eyeballs in.
Damn it, woman! Does Donald Trump have eyeballs or no, ma'am? Does he or no? At this point, you're probably saying to yourself, how many television hours have they devoted to what Donald Trump, a man who has not been off any of our screens for more than 30 seconds in the last 8 years, looks like?
By now, the pattern was obvious. The networks claimed Trump coverage poisoned their credibility, yet they couldn't quit him. Meanwhile, truly urgent stories, sky-high inflation, a chaotic border, foreign policy faceplants, barely grazed the rundown. Stewart hammered the contradiction. It's like they're saying, we're done with junk food while hiding cheeseburgers under the desk. The addiction ran both ways. Networks needed Trump for eyeballs, Trump needed networks for oxygen. Viewers, they were just the middlemen, occasionally catching a glimpse of real news in between the drama.
Perhaps if we limit the coverage to the issues at hand and try not to create an all-encompassing spectacle of the most banal of details, perhaps that would help.
Then came Stewart's knockout metaphor, a messy breakup gone wrong. CNN keeps announcing they finally moved on, he said, but at 2 a.m. they're still doom-scrolling his Instagram. He played a montage of 2016 campaign coverage where Trump's podium stood empty, waiting, yet live on every cable network for a full hour, because ratings. Stewart reminded us how that asymmetrical airtime made Trump the unavoidable center of gravity in U.S. politics. The very outlets aiming to undercut him inadvertently built his megaphone, clip by clip. Chiron.
Trump leaving Trump Tower on 5th Avenue.
They're now making their way across town along 57th Street.
Seriously, are we going to follow this guy to court every f***ing day?
So where does this codependency go next? Political insiders whisper that if Trump's name lands on a 2024 ballot, network execs will secretly pop champagne. They'll justify the wall-to-wall coverage as public interest. But everyone knows the Nielsen charts will drive the decision. Stewart's warning was blunt. The addiction won't cure itself. The only rehab is audience rejection. And let's be honest, we're still watching. That stung, because it put responsibility back on us, the click-happy viewers fueling the cycle.
Trump craned his neck to eye prospective jurors and flashed a tight-lipped smile.
Leaning to the left a little bit, quiet, his arms crossed as well.
Hunched over with his elbows on the desk.
Looked through papers and periodically whispered to his attorneys.
Fidgeted.
Jon Stewart didn't just roast CNN, he held up a mirror to an entire ecosystem hooked on outrage. Yes, the network confessed to overindulgence, but within minutes they were parsing pastel shadows on Trump's cheeks. And as long as the circus keeps filling the tent, the ringmaster and the clown will never leave the stage. So the next time a breaking banner flashes across your screen, ask yourself, is this nourishment or is it another sugar rush? If you're craving more truth-telling with a side of satire, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. The next media meltdown is probably already loading in the teleprompter, and you won't believe who's stuck in the middle this time. See you in the next one.